I'm inviting every legislator to join with my administration in reaffirming a fundamental principle. If you agree with this statement, then stand up and show your support. The first duty of the American government is to protect American citizens, not illegal aliens.
What? That is such an obvious statement to agree with. We're going to talk about one more aspect of this State of the Union political fallout and scandal, and that is just the absolute shambles that is the Democratic Party. Because Trump, listen, he is so controversial and so polarizing in so many ways, and his popularity ratings are falling. And so it's like if Democrats could just be normal and come off as not insane, I think they would do really well. But they seem allergic to that. They seem allergic to any sense of normalcy or sanity at all. And this moment when Trump goes up there and he says, please stand and clap with me and support me if you agree with the statement that the government should prioritize the safety of Americans over illegal aliens. And then not a single Democrat, or maybe there was one or two, but like you look at the ranks and they're all sitting there, not clapping, not standing, almost all of them. I mean, this is a political masterclass from Trump. It's going to become a hallmark ad, like of every political attack ad going into the midterms, and I think it'll be effective. Let's just watch this breathtaking clip, and I'm just going to let it roll because, I mean, just astounding moment on television. Watch this.
So tonight, I'm inviting every legislator to join with my administration in reaffirming a fundamental principle. If you agree with this statement, then stand up and show your support. The first duty of the American government is to protect American citizens, not illegal aliens.
What a hot take. They're all just sitting. None of them are standing or clapping. Oh my God. This is going in every attack ad ever. Look, he just gestures at them and shakes his head. They won't stand for that. He baited them and they fell for it. Hook, line, and sinker. Look at that smirk. He knows what he just did. Okay, we've probably had enough clapping. This is why I can't watch this in real time, and I need the double speed. My ADHD brain is crashing out. Look at them. They're just stone-faced. That's Senator Mark Kelly, the moderate from Arizona. The government should prioritize American safety over illegal immigrants. Like, what? That is such an obvious statement to agree with. And it's not like the Democrats took a position, we're not going to stand and applaud anything he says, because they stood and applauded during other parts. I actually appreciated this, by the way. They stood and applauded when he condemned political violence and the killing of Charlie Kirk. Almost all of the Democrats stood and applauded. And I mean, in some sense, the bar is in hell, right? Like that's even something we would not be sure that they would, but I did appreciate that they were willing to make that statement and do that. But then given that they stood up and applauded for other things, they stood up and applauded for Trump calling on Congress to ban congressional stock trading by people with inside knowledge, to then not clap for this obvious statement of like basic sanity is a message, sending a statement that like, what, do you not believe that? Do you not believe that the government should prioritize the safety of Americans over illegal immigrants? Now maybe they're going to say like, oh, well, it's a false premise, or, oh, he's demonizing illegal immigrants, or he's not discussing the situation with nuance. Of course, we do agree, but we don't want to play into this narrative. And all of that can be true, right? And yet it's still a terrible look to actually sit there stone-faced and not applaud or stand for a minute on end after he's highlighted in this same speech multiple examples of people killed or egregiously harmed by illegal immigrants, that you won't even stand and avow that you will support and prioritize the safety of Americans over illegal immigrants. That's crazy. And even somebody like me, who's like a moderate, who's supportive of immigration, who doesn't necessarily agree with Trump on the issue, That makes me feel like these Democrats are so out of touch. What are they doing? And of course, Republicans are going to seize on this and are going to attack them over this. And actual Democratic policy is not that, we don't care about the safety of Americans. We only care about illegal immigrants. That's not what these people actually believe. But there's something sick or distorted about their incentive structure or their base that they're afraid of, that they felt like they couldn't applaud with that statement. And that might be the only moment of any real significance like that will last. Obviously, there were other topics that were touched on that are very important and other significant moments, but that might be the only moment that like actually gets clipped up and used for years to come. That one right there. And of course, they're already leaning into this. Here is Vice President J.D. Vance on Fox News. Listen to him.
Bill, first of all, obviously, most Democrats didn't stand up or clap. And what a shame that is. What a sad commentary that is on the Democratic Party, that the idea that the American government should stand for American citizens, not illegal aliens, that shouldn't be controversial, but apparently it was to the Democrats. But I will say, Bill, something that I saw that probably most TV viewers didn't see was really the cowardice, because there were a few Democrats who sort of politely clapped. They didn't want to stand up. I guess maybe they were worried about being primaried by the far left fringe of their party. But they were all looking around. They weren't actually saying, you know what, I'm going to stand and support this because this is a common sense, obvious statement. They were all looking around for cues from their colleagues because they didn't have the courage to stand on their own. And that, more than anything, Bill, is the saddest commentary on the Democratic Party, that not only will they not stand for the idea that Americans should come first, they won't even have the courage of their convictions. They lean on the person to their left and their right rather than actually have some conviction. That is unfortunately what's true about Democrats in Washington today.
Guys, it's like if you had asked me to engineer the perfect Democratic faceplant moment from the State of the Union address, what's going to make the like Fox News narrative like just make their night, make their day? It would be this. How are Democrats still so bad at this? Because if they had actually stood up and applauded and been like, yes, and yes, we agree, we're going to keep Americans safe, and we're also not going to support ICE overreach, and we're also going to find, a pathway to legal status for dreamers and other things. We're going to reclaim the sane ground on this. Then they might actually be able to resonate with people. But when you can't even bring yourself to agree with the assertion that the safety of Americans is the priority over illegal immigrants, like you've totally lost the plot. And that will alienate every normal American out there obviously there's a portion of the country that's always going to blindly support the Democrats and a portion that's always going to blindly support the Republicans. But then there's this big middle of people who have jobs and hobbies and lives and don't follow this stuff super closely, unlike me, right? And they are going to find this moment alienating and astonishing. And I do as well. Like, honestly, I couldn't have written a better moment for Republicans than what we just watched there. I really could not have, especially because immigration is one of the issues where they've been losing ground with the public, because a lot of people, and I'm one of them, think that the ICE crackdown has gone too far and has overreached in many different ways when it comes to civil liberties and use of force. And I've talked about all of this on my channel. But if you make Americans choose between like the safety of their own citizens or illegal immigrants, they're not going to choose the illegal immigrants. And they're going to question the sanity of anyone who even questions that for a second. And frankly, I don't blame them. And like I said, that to me was the most significant moment of this entire night. And it's the one that is not going to escape the Democrats. I feel actually the luckiest Democrats are the ones who weren't there. Because, for example, some of them boycotted and went to alternative events. So like in Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, I was curious if she was there, right? Because she's a potential 2028 candidate or VP candidate. And if she had been there and had sat and the camera had panned to her and she did not step and applaud, that would have haunted her. Now, it will still maybe be used against her because it's her party, but it will be way less effective because she wasn't there. And she probably is so glad that she wasn't there for that moment and the cameras didn't capture her, because like I said, get used to seeing that clip played over and over again, because it's coming. If you like me, when I was living in Michigan, I would get constantly spam bombarded with these ads, these political ads. Well, if you live in one of those states where that's a regular thing, it's going to be happening to you as well. That's my take on all this, but you guys will have to let me know what you think in the comments below. And that'll be it, guys, for this special episode of the Bread versus Everyone podcast. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll talk again real soon.